Lance Hall here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. Happy to welcome Mark Boals to the program tonight. Mark, how you doing?
Great, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We chatted back in March, your previous release, postcards. Uh, God, the name escapes me, and I just looked at it.
It's Shining Black.
Shining Black, yes.
The album, yeah.
Yeah, Shining Black. And now we're here to talk about Ring of Fire and the album Gravity, which came out this past Friday on Frontiers Records. Excellent stuff. You got to be loving how people are loving this album.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I love it, but you never know.
Yeah.
The results have been good so far.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you've got some new players this time in the group with you, correct? This is your fifth album under the Ring of Fire moniker, correct?
Right. Correct.
Talk to us a little bit about, some of the new players, some of the old players, how this incarnation of it came together.
Well, it's Vitaly Kupri is the keyboard player.
Right.
He's a classical pianist, actually, and he actually started the band with me way back when, and he's still a integral original member with me, and he and I basically make the direction for the band and everything. We had Tony McAlpine for many years playing guitar. He just wasn't able to continue on with it because he's too busy with his solo instrumental career that he's been pursuing for the past few years.
Sure.
So I discussed with Vitaly and with the label about replacement guitar players, and went through a lot of names, and we came up with Aldo. I think I worked with once on something a long time ago, but he was a cool guy, and he's one of the staff guys at Frontiers actually too, which I didn't know until later.
Okay.
But he fit right into the band, no problem. And he brought in Stefano on bass and Alfonso on drums, who are two of his guys that he works with a lot. And they just filled out the band perfectly, and it all came together very nicely.
Yeah, it's awesome. And listening to this album, I was sort of trying to think of who it sounded like. This is like, to me, it's a unique sound. Here's what I came up with. You take Dream Theater, you meet in a little Yes, you go with some Angra, you throw in a little bit of King Crimson, and after that, I don't know, a lot of cool sounds on this album.
I like your description. That's all bands that I love. So
I was just gonna say, were those any bands that obviously had influenced or you liked and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the tracks. We'll jump right into the track listing here. The first track, The Beginning, longest song on the album, but for me, it went by quick. It did not seem like it was a 7-minute plus song. Very cool,
Okay,
very cool track. Can you tell us a little bit about that one?
Well, that was one of the first ones I worked on. That one and The Storm of the Ponds were two of the first ones that I worked on. The Vitaly presented me the ideas for, and they're like, they're like little mini concertos. He's really got the European kind of classical thing going on all the time, and he blends it into rock really nicely. And it was a challenge to come up with good vocal lines to go with his musical passages, because some of them are really complex.
Yeah.
But I always like doing that kind of thing. So it's just great. He's a great musician. He's out with the Siberian Orchestra, and he's been doing that for quite a few years now, about 8-10 years.
Yeah.
So he's up with them right now.
Cool. I'm losing you
next year, so
yeah,
look out.
definitely. I'm losing you just a little bit on some of this, but other than that, you're sounding pretty good.
Okay. Sorry, you're coming through loud and clear. I'm on a ship in the Caribbean at the moment. So
last time we talked, you were on a ship in the Caribbean.
What a coincidence.
Do you ever hit dry land?
Yes, I do. It's kind of weird that these interviews have hit at in the same spot.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned Storm of the Ponds. To me, I like this. What came to me as I was listening to this was there's time and space in it. You've got a lot going on, but it breathes, this song, to me. I really liked it, and I really liked the videos too. Where was the video shot?
Well, we all shot our parts in different parts of the world. Actually, I shot
Really?
mine in in a desert lake, dry lake bed in Nevada, outside of Las Vegas. And the Italians, I don't know where they shot it, but I told them, go for a desert scene. I don't know if there's any deserts in Italy, but
Yeah.
they found they found something that looks sort of, okay. And because and Vitaly is in Pennsylvania, so we're all over the place with that. But
Okay.
the video guy put it together pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah. The next track, and I'm hoping I'm going to try and pronounce this. Is it Melancholia? Do I have that right?
Yeah, yeah, it was supposed to be melancholia, but there was a misspelling, and it just stayed that way. Didn't
Okay.
fix-
Now, when I saw that, I'm expecting something sort of, minor keyed, kind of morose. Instead, I got pummeled. Totally unexpected from the title of the songs. I'm thinking melancholiness. Um, how did a title like this go along with a really upbeat song like this, or am I reading it completely wrong?
Well, I don't know. To me, it is totally melancholic. Uh, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's the way my mind works. I'm kind, everybody has a different kind of. Uh, I to me, it was really a downer song, but that's that's what I was. That's what I got.
Yeah. Well, that's cool then that we all get different things from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Track 5, King of Fools, I thought was really melodic. I like the great lyrics. Lyrics to me, they were a little, again, to me, this is just the way I'm hearing them, a little dark but inspiring. Where were you coming from with the lyrics on that one?
Well, I try to I try to keep it inspiring even if it gets dark. I try to keep things hopeful and in that kind of a vein. But there's it's just like the 21st century song. It's so much uncertainty and confusion in the world right now, and we're on the brink of World War III
Yeah,
and global warming and political America,
yeah,
Brazil, and everywhere else. So I had to make a little bit of a statement about those things. I don't want to get political ever or anything like that or
yeah,
preachy. I don't go there. I try not to.
yeah, yeah. No, I definitely hear you there. I try not to either. Um, Track 6, Sky Blue, to me was a fabulous ballad. It kind of reminded me a little bit of that song "Love Is on the Way" by Saigon Kick that came out in the early '90s. This is my favorite
I,
track on
I'm
the
not
album.
familiar. I'm not familiar with that.
You're
Wow.
not familiar with
Okay.
that one?
No, never heard it. I don't. Not that I know of.
Yeah, yeah. The way it's sort of structured and everything with the acoustics and everything, it sort of brought that back to me. It's not I'm not saying it's a carbon copy or anything like that. It's just sort of it made me think of that song.
Okay.
Um,
I'll
yeah.
have to check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Love is on the way by Saigon Kick. Give it a listen. But I love that. I love the title and the way the song was and everything. Was there any sort of inspiration behind that one?
Well, everything's kind of describing things in my life and other people's lives that I know, and yeah, it tells a little bit of a story,
Yeah,
um, and a vibe.
yeah, yeah.
So
Good stuff. Good stuff.
yeah.
Track 8, Another Night. I love the keyboards on the intro. To me, you mentioned, TSO. This had sort of a TSO feel to me with the keyboards, and it also sounds like a very personal song.
Yeah, well, the lyrics get personal sometimes. I try to just tell the story the way the music. I mean, with this band, the co-writers that I work with hand me musical ideas, and then I have to come up with the melody lines and lyrics to go with it.
Mm,
So in most cases, I'm writing about what the music that they have presented me with just sparks in my mind, sparks in what vibe that I feel from it.
yeah.
That's where I go.
I'm fascinated with that because I've never even, in English class in high school, I sucked at poetry or, to anything like that. Um, I'm fascinated with the fact that you can take a piece of music, and you've got sort of like, I don't know, a painting and you're trying to write a caption to it, is that a
Oh,
good analogy or?
that's kind of like what, yeah, but with the melodies, I'm also adding to the painting. So I'm adding a little bit to the painting and making a caption. Yeah.
Yeah. Lyrics, then you're hearing this music. Where, are you one of these guys who writes notes down all the times that, you see something or you hear something and inspires you, you write something down on a napkin or something, or does it just sort of like come to you out of the cosmos as you're hearing the music? I'm totally fascinated with this.
Well, it's different with different. It depends on what I'm working on. Now, when I'm working with other writers that are presenting me the musical ideas first, then just go with what strikes, what strikes inside my head when I hear it. But for my music that I'm writing songs from scratch on my own, or sometimes I write just with the melody. I hear a melody, and I just record on little recorders melodies that I hear in my head, and then I put it into a song later, write lyrics and music to go with it. Or I do write down little lines that I wake up in the middle of the night thinking about too, and I write songs from that. But usually I don't come up with ideas like that for songs that I'm co-writing with people. Usually I'm trying to go with their initial vibe,
Yeah.
how it strikes, what I feel that should be there.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's pretty weird. I mean, sometimes I wake up in the morning and I have a whole song playing in my head, like it's playing on the radio, and I have to hurry up before I really wake up and run to my studio and start recording stuff. And some of the best songs I've ever written are like that.
Wow. That's amazing. They talk about how your dreams and your subconscious and everything works. That's, again, the only word I can come up with is fast. It fascinates me, to be able to do that. Very, very cool. Do we have any other videos forthcoming from the album that you know of?
Well, they did put out a lyric video for the song Gravity. I think they're going to put out another lyric video, but it depends if they give us a budget, because we're poor starving musicians here.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
And I mean, the videos don't cost all that much to make nowadays, but they do cost something, and I hope we can do more. I really
yeah,
do, because you need to get stuff on YouTube, because they pay more per stream. It's all streaming now, so there's very few people that buy the CDs. Just really the hardcore fans.
hmm
And
hmm
I just wish it would just go back to vinyl. I love vinyls.
yeah,
Uh,
definitely. The it sort of pains me. My kids, and so many kids will never have the feel of going to a record store and buying that vinyl and peeling that plastic off, and the smell and the feel, and
uh,
you know,
oh
what a
no, that's a
lost
whole
thing.
experience. Yeah, well, it's just like the musicians have the same thing with the roll of tape. When we used to go and open up a new roll of tape and put it on the machine to record on, it had a
Right?
smell that was just incredible.
Yeah.
Um, but they are selling turntables now. People are buying. They have turntable. If you go to Target or Walmart, there's all kinds of turntables they're selling. So, and they have a record. They have a vinyl section now. There's no more CDs, but they're
Right.
selling vinyl
Yeah.
in the regular department stores. So somebody's. I mean, I don't know. The record companies are not catching on to put out very much. They're only putting out like major artists and stuff. But
Yeah.
people will pay $25 for a vinyl, no
Yeah.
problem.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. My daughter's boyfriend. I'll give him nods. He is into vinyl. In fact, he asked for an Alice in Chains album for Christmas. Which I thought was pretty cool. And you got to get
Yeah,
it. So,
yeah.
but that sort of leads me into my next sort of line of questioning. About how you said you were poor starving musicians. In the old days, you would put out an album, say a la when you were with Ingve, and you would hop on a tour. We mentioned this in the last interview. You toured twice with AC/DC. You know,
Mhm.
tours aren't there anymore. Arena shows aren't there. What do you do? I mean, has it become like a residency thing now, like a lot of bands are doing in Vegas, or do you market the merchandise like some bands are trying to do?
Yeah, you gotta do both, I think. I mean, are they not doing bands are not doing arena tours anymore? Are they not doing that? I didn't even know that that was I knew a lot of people are doing the residency stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you don't see as many, it's not like the old days,
Right.
where you could see 2 or 3 shows a week, um, the
Well, the
mar
ticket price, I mean, there's only so much people can afford too. The ticket prices are super high now. With the ticket brokers buy up all the tickets and then sell them for double the price.
right,
And
right.
I don't
Plus the cost of taking an act out on the road, particularly here in the States, is staggering with, diesel fuels at, I don't know, $20 a gallon now, it's like, it's insane. I don't think it's quite that high, but it's not what it once was.
know. And I mean, when we were with AC/DC, it was in the 80s, and they had 12 semis, and that was just a regular kind of a rock show. I mean, these bigger productions, I mean, they must have 20 semi trucks.
Yeah,
That's a lot to carry around and and it's a big expense. So you got to sell lots of tickets and you got to sell merchandise.
yeah,
But I mean, the streaming is it's so I mean it's thousands of a cent for the streaming services, for even for Apple Music and Amazon Music and Spotify pays the least of all of them.
right,
Um,
right.
and YouTube pays the most, so you got to make some videos um, and put them on. You get the streams off of YouTube, which
Yeah,
still you still need millions of streams to make any decent money.
right. So how are you guys paying the bills? I guess would be the question.
That's
It's got to be getting tougher and tougher all the time.
Yeah, it definitely is. That's I got to keep working all the time. I don't mind. I kind of enjoy the challenge of just keep pounding out the music. It's like uh, I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at all of it. I'm getting better at singing part, writing part.
Mm.
I'm writing more. I don't know why. I
Um,
don't have a choice.
yeah.
It's either that or go work for. I don't know. I don't know who. I don't know who I could get a job with. Uh, Too late
Did
to change career.
yeah. Did you ever have a fallback, something? Did you go to school for anything, or was it music or bust with you?
Yeah, it's basically it was music or bust. I mean, I could have done other things. I had opportunities to do other things, but I just wanted to do music since I was as far back as I can remember, 5 years old. I wanted to be a singer. So
Yeah. I remember you telling me last time you were at 5 years old, you recorded yourself singing "Oh Susanna" on your dad's tape player. Yeah, very cool.
the way it sounded. So I started trying to improve myself from that point on.
Yeah. So
I became
go
a record producer at 5.
there you go. So going forward with Ring of Fire, are there any plans to tour? I mean, I know Europe is still pretty hot, with things. Um, COVID seems to have settled down a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
and
and
Japan has opened up too. So we'll go to Japan and Europe for sure. And I hope we can do a few shows around the States. It would be nice to do maybe even a festival or something. That'd probably be the best bet.
yeah, I mean, that's the other thing, the bands are either doing residencies or they're playing these big festivals, as opposed to trying to go out and do, 100 dates, like AC/DC or Maiden or those bands used to do. Um, so pretty cool. Um, Wanted to talk to you a little bit about your way distant past, if you don't mind. And these were a couple things we didn't talk about in the previous interview, if you don't mind.
Mhm.
If you got a second.
Sure.
Touring with Savoy Brown in '82. You toured Canada and the US. Now
Mhm.
that must have been an experience.
Yeah, it was good. It was British blues, roots, all the roots of and Kim Simmons was a guitar player. He was influential on many famous guitar players like Joe Perry. Joe Perry, we toured with Joe Perry Project for a while, and Joe would come back and talk to Kim all the time and tell him how much he influenced him. And uh, it's how I got the gig with Ted Nugent. Ted Nugent came out and saw us playing in Texas, and
Yeah.
I used to like Billy Gibbons would come out. All the old school guitar players would come see Kim.
Right.
So we play around. We play around New York and Chicago and Texas and around all the cool blues places.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool places to play back then.
Now you were doing this mostly as a bass player, though, correct?
The lead singing bass player. It was a three-piece band, just guitar,
Okay.
bass, and drums, and I was doing all the vocals.
Okay. Now, do you consider yourself more of a bass player who sings or a singer who plays bass?
Yeah, I'm a singer who plays bass, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned Nugent as well. You hooked up with him in '84, did a bunch of dates with him, including some over in Europe with Priest. Now, that must have been on the Defenders of the Faith tour.
Yeah, exactly.
How was
Yeah.
that? That must have been, I mean, to play with them over there must have been an amazing experience.
Yeah, it was amazing. The only embarrassing part was when Ted would get on the microphone in between songs and make and insult every country in Europe.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the embarrassing part, but the rest of it was super fun. And the Judas Priest guys were great. They were freaking metal machine. They
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. The other question I got is when I went back and I re-listened to our previous interview. You talked about seeing AC/DC like on one of their first tours here in the States when you were growing up in Ohio. How
Yeah.
was it seeing them then and then sharing a stage with them when you were at Yngwie?
It was surreal actually because when I saw them when I was a kid, they had the original singer. What was his name?
Bon Scott.
Scott. Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
it was a whole different band actually with Brian than it was with Bon Scott.
Yeah.
But I didn't even think of those times when I was with them later because I was hanging out with Brian all the time, and they were just like regular guys. They weren't like rock stars to me anymore. They were just like regular guys to hang out with, and
Yeah.
he's such a cool guy. Brian is drank a lot of Jack Daniels with him, laughed a lot.
Very cool. Talking with Mark Boals here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. New album, Ring of Fire is the group. Gravity is the name of the album, out now on Frontiers. It's got 10 tracks, killer stuff. Mark, before I go, as you know, I always like to end with the silly questions. You ready for a couple of those?
I guess so.
Favorite
Go ahead.
topping for your pizza?
Pepperoni.
All right. If you could, let's stick with food for one more. If you could go back in time and eat a meal from your youth, what would you have your mom prepare?
That's a tough one. She used to make this beef stew that was just amazing, I guess.
Very cool.
I grew up in Ohio, middle America. It wasn't very sophisticated taste, but that was just comfort food, really
I was
good.
gonna say, gets cold out there in the wintertime, comfort food,
Yeah.
Yeah. Go to karaoke song.
Oh shit. I don't have one of those. I don't do
No. If you're gonna, what has been one of your favorite songs to cover then in your career? I'm sure you must have covered a song here or two from.
Oh, okay. Well, one of my favorites is Dream On by Aerosmith. I love that song. I love to sing that.
Oh, cool, very cool.
Italian.
If you could speak any language instantly, what would it be? Italian. What is the thing you splurge the most money on?
It's music equipment. Definitely. It's either motorcycles or music equipment, but it's mostly music equipment.
All right. Last one. Favorite old school wrestler?
Freddie Blassie.
Oh, classy Freddie Blassie. There we go. The original pencil neck geek monitor,
Yes. I was gonna say that song. He had the record out, Pencil Neck Geek.
Very cool. Well, Mark, always a pleasure to talk to you. I love, hearing about the new projects that you're doing. Ring of Fire just coming out. What do you got coming down the pipe real quick? And anything, we should be on the lookout for next?
Well, there won't be anything till next year, but there'll be some new stuff coming. I'm gonna do some solo record of some sort, something. And there'll probably be another Shining Black before there's another Ring of Fire. So I've been talking to Olaf love working with Olaf.
Yeah,
I love everything I'm doing nowadays. So
very cool. Always fun to catch up with you and see what you're doing now, what you got coming, and then to talk about that little bit of history. Such a rich history. It's awesome. It's awesome. I love hearing about it.
thanks, man.
Mark, I appreciate taking the time for me. May your travels be safe out there as you're bobbing around the Caribbean. And once you get back here to land and go on tour, may all your travels be safe as well and your shows sold out.
Thank you. Have a great rest of the year there.
Take care.
Okay, you too. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.